Granted. Yes, granted.
I mean, my question is this.
They were imposed as a
Who the hell
result
do
of
we think we are? That is my question. Who the hell do we think we
being
are?
the United States and Britain,
Yeah.
right, and NATO.
And NATO, acting entirely unilaterally.
Yeah. I tell you who the people in Serbia and I tell you who the people in Bosnia and Kosovo think we are saviors.
You think certainly the Albanian terrorists?
Well,
they certainly think we're saviors.
Well,
We've saved their lives.
The KLA. Well, we're not so happy with them now, are we?
Listen, the KLA, we actually supported, sustained, and trained.
Yeah.
They are known to be. They were always known as bandits. They're a bandit force. Now they're out of our control. This has happened so much. So many times.
Yeah, and now look where they are over in Macedonia.
Well, they've actually ethnically cleansed hundreds upon hundreds of Serbians, by the way. But we're supporting them.
Do you this is so interesting. Do you believe that Milosevic is a sympathetic character at all?
No, I don't. But nor do I.
And what do you think ought to be?
Nor do I believe that President Clinton is a sympathetic character. Nor do I believe that Prime Minister Blair is a sympathetic character.
And that they all three ought to be at the dock in The Hague?
You got it.
Do you really?
Sure.
With equal?
It's not a question of equal. You know, if anyone has any criminal...
In other words,
we're not making... Of course, Milosevic is a criminal.
Right.
Okay?
But you're saying, of course, Blair's a criminal, and of course, Clinton is a criminal.
Absolutely.
Because what?
Because they acted outside. Their action was actually illegal.
Go ahead.
It was also, I contend, immoral. It was also arrogant and indifferent to the fate of the people. I don't think it had anything to do with humanitarian intervention. I think that term is ludicrous and only good for a laugh. What it was to do with was an assertion of power.
They're uncovering every day the...
My dear fellow, have you...
My dear fellow, there are more bones uncovered in Kosovo from...
Have you been to Turkey recently?
No, I haven't.
Well, you should.
Because?
Why did we... You know, one thing...
Which part would I...
well, for example, one thing that you may have noticed we...
What's happening to the Kurds? What's happening to the Kurds? Is that the point?
Have we ever bombed Istanbul?
No. Because, and you're suggesting they're doing everything to the Kurds that Saddam Hussein did to the Kurds.
Certainly am, and more so.
And more so.
Yeah.
And why don't we do it? Because the Turks are our allies.
That's right.
Welcome to big power politics,
all
sir.
in the same big bed.
Yeah.
The NATO bed, you know? And I think this is...
Well, that's true, but we also don't retaliate against the Chinese.
And the Chinese don't retaliate against them?
For the same human rights violations that we would get...
You know, this whole thing of human rights violations and preserving...
That's your subject.
It clearly is yours, too. I would like to just point out that I believe that the prison system, the penal system in the United States, is...
There's one more European coming to beat us to death about the death penalty.
Oh, not just the death penalty.
Yeah.
I mean, you have... there are many, many human violations taking place at this very moment in this extraordinary penal system you have, which is more or less like, you know,
no question about
not just the death penalty.
Yeah, I'm not to say no question about it. Clearly, I mean, they're documented every day by reporters across this country. Some, I mean, some of the atrocious conditions and violations of respect for human dignity.
And the use, I remind you, of what are effectively torture weapons. I mean, a stun gun, a stun belt, a restraint chair. These are weapons of torture, you know.
Yeah.
And I think you say that they're writing about it all over the country.
But you think that just stay with me for a second.
Yeah.
In terms of the motivation, the motivation that led Milosevic to send to take the actions in his name or in Serbia's name that took place in, say, Bosnia or in Kosovo. The motivation was the same or was no different for NATO in terms of what they did, or does it matter because the end result is innocent people died in both cases, and they have in some great jurisdiction the same, they deserve the same opprobrium?
Yes, I believe.
Don't motivation make a difference, and doesn't, you know?
Well, firstly, I believe there was a civil war going on in Kosovo between the Serbs and the Albanians.
And we should have left them alone.
No, I didn't say that. There are other ways of dealing with it, with such a situation, rather than going in and bombing the
Jesus.
That's it. There should be other civilized ways of dealing with things, you know. And in fact,
civilized ways. What do you think they tried to do?
The Rambouillet.
Yeah, exactly where I was coming. That was
I'm there. I'm there with you. The Rambouillet conference
was a disaster, a farce.
Well, of course it was a farce. It was a charade, right? But not only was it, but why was that? Because we went in there and we gave them, the U.S. gave them, what is it when you jump over the... They gave them a hurdle they couldn't possibly jump over.
They created a standard they couldn't.
Well, they said,
achieve.
we're going to take over your country.
They put the bar too high.
They certainly did. They knew they couldn't meet it. So that was a very, very provocative act in the first place. And it was intended. It was deliberate.
Here's what my problem with you in the end, though, is.
Okay.
Not with you, but with the difference in the opinion, is that you seem to see no difference in levels of whether you describe them as whether they're criminal acts or not. You seem to make no distinctions between acts that lead to violence against human beings in terms of the motivation, in terms of other factors. You seem to say...
Can I answer?
Yes.
Yes. You know, I believe that our memories are very, very short. And we're encouraged to forget. I wrote a piece once called It Never Happened, and I talked about what actually happened in El Salvador, and in Guatemala, and in Indonesia, and East Timor. Our responsibility, the United States, without any question, responsibility. These actually amounts to millions of people dead. Millions. Not 2,000, not 10,000, but millions. And all to preserve the power and authority of the United States, in fact. And these things are pushed under the table and are simply forgotten, and the plight, the fate of these people is, it just simply disappears like their children disappeared. The fate of the
in Chile or in East Timor or wherever.
Absolutely. In East Timor, there's a total, it's one of the most scandalous things that's ever happened. 200,000 people dead at the nod.
Because we wanted to be friends with Indonesians.
Absolutely. Well, business is so good with Indonesia, or it was. Business was great with Indonesia, and there was a hell of a lot of oil, and trade really worked. So East Timor was irrelevant.
And look what they did to the communists, too. That was
in 1965.
Right.
They killed 500,000 communists. Absolutely. You got it. And that, again, was absolutely our responsibility. It couldn't have happened without the subscription of the United States and indeed Great Britain and Australia. So I'm looking at kind of masquerades of the way I am saying that it's very, very clever. You know, you can kill somebody or you can tell somebody else to kill somebody. You remain saying either, oh, that's very bad, I wonder how that happened, or you shouldn't have done that, or good, you know. Okay. So I think the nod is as good as a wink.
Yeah. Now I'm going to give you the reason to really disagree with me. I think that this is, I don't want to do this, but I believe it so. I would believe this is rather an extraordinary country, an exceptional country. I believe in the notion of exceptionalism for America and the democratic experiment here. Not without flaws. Not without serious flaws, and not without having done some...
Last election was certainly a flaw.
Another show, yeah. The last what do you mean by the last election? Because it was stolen from Al Gore, is that your point?
No, I think it was very suspect what actually happened, the Supreme Court coming in at the last moment. Very strange, shall we say, bizarre for a democratic procedure, you know.
You know what we're going to do before you leave here? I promise you, if I have to come over to Lincoln Center and get you and bring you over here, we're going to have a great political debate that you enjoy at this table on some of these subjects. Will you do that with me?
I hope to.
All right. Yeah. It's great to have you. What you have just seen is why Harold Pinter, both in terms of talking about language and his love of theater and love of words, and also in his body of work at the Lincoln Center Festival, which I have a card here that says something about it, but also because of the passion that he brings to his own ideas and his beliefs, and therefore making him worth listening to. The Lincoln Center Festival 2001's Harold Pinter Festival runs through July 29th. The Spaces Between the Words, a tribute to Harold Pinter, presented by the Film Society Lincoln Center, runs through July 29th. I like you very much, and I'm pleased to have you on this program.
Thank you very much.